Last year was not exactly a banner year for the Chiefs running back room. Their lead back, Isaiah Pacheco, got hurt early on in the season. When he came back, he was not the same guy. And their best running back last season, Kareem Hunt, was brought in during week 5, where, yes, he was a focal point of the running back attack, but they couldn't really do anything with explosivity in the run game. They were one of the slowest running back rooms at the line of scrimmage in 2024. This year, this offseason, we've seen them bring in Elijah Mitchell, but it's a lot of the same names before the NFL draft. And then they go in to day 3, putting it off further than I expected them to, and bring in Brashard Smith, former wide receiver at Miami, transferred to SMU and took on the running back role. We're going to break down his tape today, talk about why he could be more of an effective player early on in his career. And while he's not a true 3-down workhorse back, we're going to get into some of the finer details and the reasons why he made the transition from wide receiver to running back, and how this season he could even be an explosive part of the Chiefs offense. Welcome into RGR Football. My name is Daniel Harms, senior film analyst, and you guys are new to the channel. Please hit that sub button right now and allow me to earn a like from you guys as we work our way through Brashard Smith's tape, because this is exactly the kind of player that we want to see in Kansas City. And I know people are going to liken him to, the Jamal Charles of the world. That's not really what I see from him. I'm thinking more Damian Williams-esque. Maybe not the guy you want to be a 1, 2, 3 down back. And we've also seen Jerick McKinnon be thrown in there. But Damian Williams is the guy that I look at and that I see being a closer name that we can talk about for Brashard Smith. So right here, this first game against Nevada, the very first carry of the game, you saw some of the tools that he possesses. But what I like about why he made the transition is because his eyes and then the ability to flash intention. We got inside zone right here. You're going to see the offensive line step out to their right here. You're going to actually see 2 double teams form right here and here on these 2 defensive tackles. And then you have the tight end out here who's also going to take a step this way, but end up coming out to block on the outside. So we have this inside zone. And what I want you to see again is we have Brashard Smith's going to come to the inside here to the gap. And this is where you're going to see the intention in the eyes to the second level. It's a little bit easier when you have a clear vision, right? You got clear room to see, but here's those double teams. They work down to this defense tackles on the ground. This one's getting pushed out towards the right-hand side of the offense. And Brashard Smith is going to do a nice job here of just being a little bit more patient and kind of work here, right? He's going to end up working out first, right? So you see takes number 36 with him. So the intention, right? He does play a little bit upright and narrow because I think he's still trying to figure out how to play at the running back position. So he's a little more narrow with his hips and with his feet right here. At the line of scrimmage, you want to see them just a little bit more wide, a little bit more hip and knee bend. But again, you see the intention that he's going to come right here is where he's going to show off, make 36, come out of the way here and go around here, around that block right there. You want to see him work back a little bit closer to the A gap, to the middle of the field a little bit quicker. But again, overall, you see the intention where he's able to press the line of scrimmage, press that gap to the outside. Right there, right here, you want to see just a little bit more, just a little bit kind of a head bob and fake to the inside, because then he can get inside and avoid that tackle a little bit more. But overall, you do see why he was able to make that transition. He's very instinctual. I think that he's just got a very good running back feel of the position in space, and he does a really nice job of finding space when gifted to him. So easy speed, right? We know he's a speedster, but this is what I like about what he offers right away. SMU is a widespread offense. They attack in all areas of the field. And a lot of times you'll see bad defenses do stuff like this. For example, TCU was not a very good defense. I believe SMU scored 66 points on them in this game, but they throw the football at will when they want to. Kevin Jennings, their at this point redshirt freshman or redshirt sophomore quarterback, was very, very good. But what we like about Brashard Smith here is that you get a little bit of split zone. The Chiefs run a lot of split zone, and then you see the bounce. It's more about press and pop, right? We talk about what you can do from a press standpoint, and I mentioned that he's a little bit narrow at the line of scrimmage. Again, I want to see him get his hips down just a little bit more, a little bit of knee bend, spread the legs just a little. But overall, what you see again is you're going to have this defense come right here because this is where he's pressing. He's pressing to the middle just a little bit, and then he's going to pop this outside. Doesn't take too long, and then we see how he can reduce angles. It doesn't matter where you are. He's going to outrun a lot of these players at the second level. Just gets tackled around the ankles right there. So you see the ability to press and pop and identify, right? Number 4 initially is going this way. Initially pops outside first. His intention is this way first, and then he comes back this way. It's because Brashard Smith is setting that up here so 51 can get on the block, but also because he knows that he has the speed to take this outside when he wants to, given the light box that he saw from TCU there in the off coverage. So really smart assessment of the defense, and then you're going to see a little bit of breakaway speed again, this time for a touchdown off of some counter. And what I like, again, you see he's probably not going to be the most effective in the power gap concepts, but he did kind of figure out how to follow his blocks as the season went along. And here again, you got the guard pulling through there. They have an overload set here with an H-back tight end here. They're going to pull number 71, have him leave block over that way. And so Smith, again, pressed line of scrimmage, pop this out here, let the blocks unfold. Really nice job from this blocker right here. Is going to whip around and get a block on this DB as Smith sees the lane, right? It's all about seeing the lane. He sees it. He knows how to get to it, right? He's got that speed, that acceleration, the juice. He can turn it on whenever he sees it, and then he can just hit daylight. So we know he's fast. We know he has explosiveness, and that's what the Chiefs are willing and really want him to bring to the offense, is this high-level ability to take a lane and turn it into an explosive play, something the Chiefs were unable to do last year. Even where lanes presented themselves, they could not take advantage of it. So nice job following his blocks there, and he does a nice job of taking what will be or what could be and turning it into a touchdown. A couple of games, couple of things that really got exposed, not necessarily from Brashard Smith, but overall what he's going to need to function more in the NFL. An offensive line that can actually block a little bit for him. Games like this against Louisville, and then you went into against Clemson and against Penn State, tougher defenses, more physical defenses that could manhandle the offensive line, had their way with the offensive line at times here. And you want to see just a little bit more movement from the center. It's a down block. You shouldn't be getting blown up into the backfield. But overall, we have talked about outside zone from under center a lot, and that's what this is. It's outside zone, but it's a light box, right? This should be pretty easy to hit a hole. This is what I want to see first off, though. Brashard Smith should understand right now that this is what you're seeing in the second level. So if we just kind of take for granted 53 comes down here, 51 kind of gets across, that should be the lane. It should be the lane, right? And because he's not as turned to the sideline, right? So boom, 51 gets out right here. He actually turns, and the tackle is actually the one that you want to look off of, but we kind of go back just a little bit here. So it ends up being the B gap in this space right here. But this is what, again, we talk about trying to identify outside zone. Typically you see shoulders, hips turned all the way to the side. That's not the case in this situation where he's a little bit more narrow and aiming in this direction. So he sees number 53. He's trying to run off that outside hip, right? He's trying to get to this area right here. As soon as the center, gets blown backwards, I need to see just some intention, right? Boom, I want to see this. But that's because that's what I think next level should be. So overall, he does have a tendency to bounce runs outside, even if they're ill-advised. And again, I know this is outside zone from under center, where it's very hard for a lot of running backs to get to this spot right here. But that's where, eventually, because of where his aim point is initially, it needs to get to. He needs to use his peripheral vision a little bit more. But overall, offensive line needs to be a little bit better. And in situations like this, getting after it against light boxes, that needs to be more efficient from the offensive line, and Smith needs to use his athletic gifts, which, again, I think he's a very good athlete at running back position, maybe better at wide receiver, but again, he's got the tools to be able to make plays like that, to be able to slow it down just a tad, sink his hips. We talked about that earlier, the knees, get everything a little less narrow, and I think he can make plays like that. So that's just an adaptation. I don't want to see the Chiefs using a lot of under center outside zone. That's not really what I want to see. I want to see it from under center. And that's where he can be really effective. And that's what we've kind of seen to an extent already, where they are more under center, allowing him to get to his blocks. But this is sometimes you see guys that want to do too much. And that's something that I think Brashard Smith tried to do a little bit too much early on in his season, his career as a running back. He's got one season. He went over 1,300 yards. I know that. He's just under 200 pounds. Probably needs to bulk up a little bit more playing the NFL. I want to see him around 200, maybe 202, because the contact balance isn't really there for him. He needs to right now win based off of intentionality, processing, and then having the vision and the tools to work with his athletic gifts. So right here, we have a little bit of that counter that we saw from them already, where 71 comes down to block. They're going to lead block with 44 here. And Smith has got to follow it along, right? He's going to get a little bit of defense in his face. So number 44 doesn't do a great job of getting down and push down. So Smith is going to just kind of, instead of pressing this out and coming back and following your blocks and getting to the hole, he's going to do too much and step outside, go back inside, trip over, and then hit guy in the tackle, one of the defense tackles. The reason I say he needs to get this outside is because the blocks are actually set up. And again, that's by design, right? You pull 71 around to get this, and obviously 88 does a nice job. You've got block here. So based off of the defensive read early on before this, pre-snap, Smith needs to see this and kind of hit this lane, right? That's what you need to see from him. He already did it, we saw earlier in the clip montage where he was able to follow his blocks, set it up. So he tries to do a little bit too much in my mind here. Again, you see that the block is right here. It's on the outside. Just press it. Just pop it out. You don't have to worry too much here because the block is already on that outside shoulder. So you don't have to force this inside at all, especially because it's supposed to go that way. So just sometimes he will press it outside when he doesn't have to, but other times he does too much because he's trying to get himself into space or make a guy miss that he doesn't necessarily have to make miss. So that's part of the learning curve with Brashard Smith. You have to be able to sometimes take yourself out of it. Just follow the blocks, follow the play, and don't do too much because you're going to end up in positions like this where you're not always able to take advantage of some of the gaps that are there. On to some more of the short yardage stuff where obviously a 195-pound back isn't going to be the most effective from a power perspective. We've seen he kind of goes down on first contact. He kind of churns a little bit there, but he's not going to break a ton of tackles. Vision, flashes at times. You do see that from Brashard Smith, being able to set up second-level defenders going outside to bring back to the inside. So we do have the ability here from Smith to do that. So inside zone, we're going to see more to that intentionality, right? Based off of where he's going. If you're ever trying to figure out if it's inside zone or outside zone, look at the aim point from the running back. He's keeping more square. Again, we have all the indication that this is inside zone. Even the H-back here is inside zone. So just keep the aim point. Aim point is in between the center and the guard. Outside zone, aim point is either the inside hip of the tackle or the outside. So it's far more angled towards the outside. That's all we're really looking for is the aim point. But here again, presses inside. We have flow. Defensive flow is hard in this direction, okay? So he's going to cut back across that flow of traffic and do a nice job of getting outside and then freezing this defender right here. He freezes number 20. So he has the hole right here. He probably can go ahead and hit it. But we're understanding that if he takes too close to that, number 20 is probably going to be able to come down and then tackle him, right? So he wants to give himself some space. Stop the defense flow. Boom, go outside, press back, jump cut almost. Kind of give you that cut, right? He jabs, steps outside, and then he cuts across back inside for a touchdown. He does this on third down and short as well. You're going to find times where if he's one-on-one in the hole with the player on third and short or second and short, he's not going to break that tackle. He's just not. So that's why we have to be realistic with a 7th-round pick at running back who was a former wide receiver, right? We have to understand there are going to be some limitations to his game. The contact balance is probably his biggest one. And then the limiting factors on peripheral vision, identifying, some different lanes here and there, but also trying to do too much. So those are really the drawbacks from a run game perspective. The real big thing that he's going to add is a rotational piece that can build off of Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt and give you that explosive running back that can either lead the backfield, be that 1A/B, but be the Damian Williams piece to this offense, this rushing game that he really does need to be. But what we get to more specifically is this, I think, can be a very useful tool because let's say, for example, the Chiefs typically don't run pony personnel very much. And for those who don't know, pony personnel is 2 running backs on the field. But he is a former wide receiver. So you can actually utilize him in the slot with maybe Kareem Hunt in the backfield on some third downs. And then you find those mismatches like you see right here with a linebacker on a quote-unquote running back, but he's actually a wide receiver. You give him a choice route over the middle of the field, he can do a lot more with what he has at his disposal. So tools with the choice routes, you can line them up in the slot, you can line them up out wide. If you get mismatches with linebackers and safeties, you can exploit that. And Patrick Mahomes knows that. Think back to Damian Williams scoring that kind of wheel route touchdown against the Houston Texans in the playoffs a few years ago. That's the kind of utilization that I think can be very advantageous for Brashard Smith and the Chiefs offense, something that they have not been able to do. So you saw how he was able to work inside, outside, right? And then outside, inside. So you have that attack the middle of the defender here, jab outside, and boom, across his face. That's what you want to do. Even though he has inside leverage, how do you get to the inside when there is that inside leverage? You build the route path based on attacking and then outside. Boom, right there. I love that. I love this because he really does a really nice job faking to that outside with that jab step, making the linebacker go with him, and then breaks across his face, and he's open. Unfortunately, quarterback couldn't find him, couldn't get to him, but you see the vision, right? We know the Chiefs ideally would like to play more 5 wide because it gives Patrick Mahomes a very easy avenue to throwing the football quickly, and that's what Andy Reid wants to do still as well, adapting what they do. So offensive line has to play better than it did last year for sure in the run game and the pass protection to be able to access some of the zone, the outside zone, and then the power game that the Chiefs are starting to incorporate a little bit more. But also it has to be more better at pass protection to allow them to go 5 wide and get some of these matchups that are going to be really useful. And again, I know we're showing out of the slot, but this is part of the route running tree of a running back. We don't always get to see running backs run wheel routes or run multiple different types of routes, but when you do line them up outside, you get the choice route, you get a little bit of slot fade, and he is able to come down here and get a PI. In the NFL, this comes down to the 2-yard line. It's only 15 yards in college. I think this would be closer to a half distance to the goal in this situation, but still, this is down to the 2-yard line in the NFL. But he does a really nice job, again, of pacing his route. So he's going to press outside or press towards the defender. Excuse me. Let me get back here real quick. So again, he motions outside, paces it properly, what we call speed dilation, right? He doesn't just come out here, guns blazing, and goes to the fade. He slows up right here, forces this defender to stop his feet, and then he accelerates by him. The juice that he has, again, is it's excellent, what the Chiefs don't have right now. And that's why I compare him more to a Damian Williams, because that's the kind of body type, the type of play style you're going to find, and then the multifunctional wide receiver type positions that he can play with the wheel routes, with some of the slot fades you see like this. Basically, he's running a wheel route, but he's doing it from motion, right? They motion him to the slot, and then he runs that wheel fade around the DB. So a very useful player. And then again, out of the backfield, as a screen player, as a wide receiver option, that there are multiple different ways that he can be useful. Right here, he's just running a little hitch into space, but again, he finds space very well. He catches the football away from his frame extremely well, and that's another thing. Yards after catch for him. He's not going to do this all the time, so I want you to be paying attention to that. Is that right here? Quarterbacks can get outside the pocket. How often does this happen with Patrick Mahomes, especially getting out to his right? So he's going to find his way into space. That's the second part. When the play breaks down, this is a 3rd down play. How can you become available? This is how you become available. You just work into space. There he is, fading into space, where the defense goes after the quarterback because they see eyes on him. They see him getting outside the pocket. So he does a nice job of finding the space that's been vacated by those defenders and then getting into it and becoming a yards after catch threat, which he absolutely is with his speed, his vision, honestly, his ability to kind of manipulate space. Again, catching the football away from the frame is very, very important. And you see the wide receiver tools from Brashard Smith. So the questions are going to become,
What can he be as a third down back? Obviously, that's why you have Kareem Hunt and still Isaiah Pacheco. He's going to be able to learn a little bit from Kareem Hunt, but ideally, you're not going to have him in real pass protection situations. The most that you really saw from Brashard Smith was this kind of a help blocker with the tight end. So sorry, he's off the right-hand side. So right there, he's kind of helping with the tight end, chipping off, coming off right there. That's the most you really saw from him. You didn't see a lot of blitz pickups from him. And again, this was the game against Penn State where their offensive line got manhandled predominantly. You see they're just in the backfield all the time. But either way, the reps from the Senior Bowl were I was cautiously optimistic about his ability. Again, the want to was there when they asked him to be that blitz pickup guy. But here's what you're seeing is more of just a help blocker. The physical strength to be able to pass protect isn't necessarily there for him. But that's why I said I think he needs to bulk up just a little bit more. But you can see the vision, right? I'm not saying that Brashard Smith should come into the NFL, into the Chiefs backfield, and just be the guy, because that's not a realistic expectation. If he comes in and blows the doors off, that'd be fantastic. But you don't see that based off of his tape, right? The contact balance, still working some of the vision stuff, and then understanding when to press, when to do too much, and when to pop it outside. Those are all finer tools that he's learning to deal with. Honestly, it's a really good situation for him to be in with Kareem Hunt, because we know that he understands how to run every single concept, and he doesn't have the burst to be able to execute that anymore. But what we do know is that he still plays behind the line of scrimmage very, very well. He knows how to press to read that second level and find those spaces. So working with Kareem Hunt, I think, is going to be very, very important for Brashard Smith. Bulk up a little bit. Let's see what he looks like in training camp. But this is somebody that can come in and be a wide receiver 7 for your roster because he's going to be a running back, but you can put him on the field in 5 wide situations in multiple different assets where he's in the slot, but you bring in a running back anyway where he can still maximize if he's up against a safety or against a linebacker. So the speed, the explosiveness, some of that press and pop ability, we still see the flashes of him being able to manipulate second level defenders and move them where he wants them to go. He's just going to have to build upon that. But at the end of the day, the Chiefs needed somebody to be able to work off of what Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco are going to do. I think he's going to push, if not pass, Elijah Mitchell. We'll find out how he looks in training camp. But overall, it's a good pick. It kind of tells you the Chiefs feel comfortable with their guys they currently have, but also that they think Brashard Smith can be more than what he was in college. Again, 1 year starting experience, 1,300 plus yards and a ton of touchdowns. So very intriguing player on day 3 for the Chiefs out of SMU, a former wide receiver from Miami. It was actually productive there as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown of Brashard Smith, who's going to be a very interesting piece. I can't wait to see what he does in training camp. And again, please, if you guys are new to the channel, you just found us here at RGR, hit that sub button as we work on these film reviews every single week, Q&As every week as well with Ryan and myself. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you Thursday. Gary should have a video. Ryan and I will be back on Monday with another Q&A as we get closer and closer to training camp. So please enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.